Today on my channel, Planner Friends, I've decided to create something for Advent for my main faith study. I'm not going to redo all this because I'm going to be moving out of this binder in the new year, but I wanted to create a happy space to focus on Jesus, the promise of Jesus, the birth of Jesus a little bit, but also some other verses about trust and faith in God and God's plan and his plan for Jesus and us. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But it's only 5 verses, and I really created this great little space in here, and I'm going to show you how to do this for your own Advent project. So please stay tuned. Hello, planner friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm Wen Crafty Dolo. I'm very happy you're here with me today. Thank you for taking your time and spending it with me. So today, what I want to do is I want to create a project for my main faith study involving Advent and Bible verses. You can see last year I created a 12 Days of Christmas. I'll link that video below. And this year I want to do something special. Last month for November, I did 4 weeks of gratitude verses. Let me show you. And that's worked out really well. It's a nice simple project that worked perfectly. So for today, what I want to do is create a little something a little different. I'm not entirely sure yet, if you want the truth, but that's okay. If you're new, you're welcome to subscribe, tap the notification bell, be part of my wonderful, growing, lovely community. I appreciate all of you. So I've got Sundays, it's always Jesus, faith journey, faith projects, Bible study, and a good mug of tea, which I have here with me. You know what? I'm going to take a sip. These are different things that I have left over. They are mostly Simple Stories collections. You can see I use these bottom pieces for washi. So I've got these little elements, these cardstock stickers. I've got some of these. This is from a Winter Cottage collection. Again, I can use bits and bobs if I'm so inclined. Then here, you know what? I'm going to move some of these and we'll come back to them. Then I found this, and I do save these things in this paper. Obviously, if I'm doing something Advent-y, gifts are, but I can also talk about the gift of Jesus. So there you go. I've got this. Isn't this gorgeous? I actually saved this last year, and I'm so glad I did because I can't wait to use it. And the back is okay, but the front is spectacular. This is a Santa thing. Don't know if I'll use it. And then I had picked these up on Etsy. Oh, wait. Here's another piece. Oh, this is great, isn't it? Really nice piece there with the snowflakes. I like that a lot. And I'd picked these up on Etsy a while ago. They're Echo Park. I could use this, certainly. I don't know what else I would use from here, but it doesn't matter. They're cute. So let me put these aside and decide how we're gonna do this today. Oh wait, I forgot the elements. So I went back through and found some of these, some of which I used before in my planner, some of which I did not. This I used as a divider, which it was for my personal, I used personal planners all the time. So I can just cut that if I'm so inclined. A tag. This tag obviously matches that beautiful paper. More kind of journaling type of elements, which, you know what, I think I'm going to put those all together. Same with the tags. So yeah, I've got a bunch of, well, I've got stuff, shall we say. I need to organize said stuff. And again, this matches that. And I've got this, more tags. What's nice about the tags, you can use either side, add some elements there. Oh, and I have another piece of this paper, so that's actually pretty good. So let me organize all this and see what we can come up with. So first things first, what I do to size things is I usually just grab a divider. I don't have an actual template for anything, but I use one of these. However, I want to make this a little larger. So the question becomes, what do I want to use as my cover, if you will? And I'll be honest with you, I'm debating between this one and the gorgeousness of this, and I'm really tempted to use this, but I don't like this as much. I mean, it's cute enough, but I may end up going with this because of this on the other side and use this as an insert somehow. So why don't I do some measuring and we'll see how we can do this. Now, again, I use these dividers to measure, and what I do, because I have visual challenges, I rely on a bright yellow pencil every single time, which looks like it probably should be sharpened soon. That's what you get when you're always creating. But I will measure it out on this side. I will make it a little larger when I cut, and I'm gonna actually do this, and then I'm gonna double it. So let me do that off camera real quick. So if you're looking, you can see here's the line, and I'm going to give that a cut. I took out the fancy cutter, which I like, don't get me wrong, but I get nervous, I have visual issues, so I'm going to line this up and give this a quick cut. Okay, not necessarily perfect, but not terrible. I brought this out just in case I need it. So what I'm going to do is fold it in half and just give it a quick light, and then we can score this kind of. I'm not real perfect at this yet, but I'm learning, right? I'm learning, and that's what I'm showing you is just the ways. Oops, let's do this again. Okay, let's hope we got that right. It looks good, but I can see this is a little off down here, so I may have to do some extra trimming, which is fine. Now what I want to do is make 1 or 2 inserts, maybe even an internal pocket here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I always write on the underside just in case. I'm going to mark this and then cut it, and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got that. In fact, I have 2 of them here if I am so inclined. We'll see what we can come up with, right? And again, it's not always, see, this one's overlapping a little. Sometimes my measurements are perfect, sometimes they're not. Let's see, actually this was the piece I measured, this is the extra. Okay, so I did okay. Here you go. So far we have the 3, 1, 2, and then the back. I wouldn't mind either adding more elements, but I guess as time goes on, you know, we'll add more. So what is this project going to be about, you may ask? And what I want to do today is share the joy of Advent, but I also want to talk about those of us who deal with some anxieties, if that makes sense. I don't mean to sound like a Valley girl. Anxieties. What I want to do today is to deal with this in a different way. This isn't about the miracle of Christmas, although you can make yours about that, certainly. What I want to do is remind myself of God's steadfast love and promises that result in the coming of Christ, and the things that Christ says to remind me of where he is in my life and in yours, if that makes sense. So that was my goal today, was to come up with verses for in here that I could add that would really add to my holiday season. Now the question, of course, is whether I want to use some of these elements to do some of that, and truth be told, I kind of do, just to make it a little bit easier in some respects. So I can play with these, and I can always come up with Bible verses for the other side of these. I don't know, what else have I got here? I've got these. Oh, you know what? I do really like both of these. Plus I have the tags, right? Isn't that cute? I think I'm going to wait on this because again, it's the emphasis on the secular part of Christmas, and that's not what this planner is about, but this I can certainly cut down. So I think what we're going to start with is, I'm going to grab my other paper cutter that's over here. Sometimes when I'm doing something smaller, it's just easier than the larger one. So why don't we cut this? Come on, you. Just kind of line it now. That's not quite, maybe over here. Yeah, I can line it up there. So I cut this down quite a bit. And I wouldn't mind putting it over here. Now the question is, do I want to in some way adhere it and then lift the flap up for the Bible verse, or do I want to create a pocket here, which isn't a bad idea at all, especially given I have some of these smaller elements right here. So I think that's what I'm going to do, actually, is create the pocket to put it into. And this will be a pocket for this side as well as the other side. Let me grab that pencil over here. And again, I'm going to use this on the underside to kind of mark this. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give it from this side over here. Oops, I got a little bit here, but that can be erased. So let me give that a quick cut. Okay, so I did both. And I think I am going to use this side rather than this side because I think polka dots are busy in their own way, but this plus this seems like an awful lot. And something that I like to do is, if I get it right, I do these kind of, not diagonal cuts, although I could make it diagonal. I do rounded cuts sometimes. Sometimes I leave them square. I need to think about how I want to do this. This is kind of high too, and I think I could, or you know what I could do? I could do half circles. That might be actually kind of cool. Even if I bring this down a little bit and then do a half circle, that might work, friends. So you know what I'm going to use? I use these leftover jam jars for storage, and I think what I'm going to do is use them as a guide, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, I think we could do this. I hope this works. Well, we're doing this in real time. And you know what? If it doesn't work, I will show you that anyway. Okay, deal? Because let's do some realness. So let me cut it and see how this works. And it seems to have worked. So what I'm going to do is take this, oops, and mark this side and cut over there. All right, we got this. Okay, so we have two. And it works. So now the question is how I'm going to adhere. If you saw my video for November, I had I've had the Dollar Tree cheapo double-sided tape. Well, guess what? We may use that again, or I can even use my Craft Smart glue here, which one do I want to use? I don't know. Let me think, friends. Well, I dragged this stuff out, so let's get to the bottom of it. And I always cut it a little larger, FYI, because then you can trim it down, put down the side there and cut it larger. You can easily trim it down. This is from Dollar Tree, so I don't feel like I'm wasting a ton of money, if that makes sense. Still cut it down a little more. It sticks to everything. I guess it's one of those things you get what you pay for. I don't know. But I'm getting better with it, so I give myself that credit. Is this still too big? Let's see here. Maybe just a skosh. Yep. My goal here is always to inspire you in your own, discover your own craftiness, if you will, and do it on a budget. Even if this Dollar Tree double stick tape drives me crazy, it's on a budget. I give myself that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is tack down some on the sides, and I'm going to do this one as well. FYI, I also just realized I needed to trim the holes in here first because I don't want to try to put this tape on and then have to cut through, if that makes sense. So I wanted to place them properly to put the tape on. So that's just an FYI for you. And I just use my trusty little old hole puncher. So here's how I did it. I put this little piece here and there. I've got a piece stuck to my finger, but then I put this piece over here. And again, by putting the holes in, I'm not trying to cut through layers of this tape. Okay, I've got one on. Not as easy as I would have preferred, but you know, these things happen. This will go right in here. I think for this next one, honestly, I'm just going to use the glue because this tape isn't my favorite. I just thought it would work, and it did. Don't get me wrong, it did. So I'm going to try to remove this from here if I can do it with yuck. Well, nobody's going to see that side, so I guess that's okay. But forget it. I guess I'll just leave it on. We live and we learn, friends. Let me poke the holes in this side and then I'll be back. Okay, so you can see on this side I cut this piece a little short. And, you know, this is rudimentary crafting. I'm trying to learn and to get it right and to do it right. But sometimes I make mistakes. Again, visual challenges. But I'm going to leave it because it's me, and this is how I do things sometimes, and I'm okay with being imperfect because we're perfect in God's eyes. Now, what I think I'm going to do is put that here. What I've decided to do with this piece is it looks like it's gifts and stuff, but I'm going to write down some verses and make it faith-based. So I have these two sides here. Again, this is imperfect, and you know what? I could technically take some of that off because there's a little overlap here. But I'll see if I decide to do that. But what do you think so far? I mean, again, not perfect, but I'm using things I have, which I'm happy about. And yeah, so now let me pull. I'm making a mess. Clean up my desk a little bit. Okay, so I have this here, and I have the other side of it, of course. So I think this is looking so far so good. So now the question is, what do I want to do with this side? And I actually had a kind of funky thought. I have these tags, right? And I have both sides of these tags. Let me pull these over this way. From our house to your house. There's a Christmas tree. December 25th. Happy holidays. A snowman. Merry bright. Obviously, this is the other side. And then I have this side here. I also have these little bits and bobs over here. And again, the idea for me is to focus just on the coming of Jesus, what this tells us, what it means for us, and how it's not the study of his actual birth, but it's the reassurance he's with us. It's the fact he's here and he came for us and what it means to us, if this makes sense. Okay, so I took a few moments, got myself together here, and I've come up with some ideas. As I said, I come on here with some idea of what I'm going to do, but then I kind of freestyle it as well because, yeah. So first off, this is something from American Crafts. I picked these up at PopShelf a while ago, and I thought they might come in handy. And what I did is I took some ink and a dauber, and I just made these a bit of a green. This one maybe I could do darker, but I'm going to leave it. And what I realized is these tags can go right in here and yet still stick out. So I thought what I'd like to do on this side, the question is which other tag do I want? But I figured I can do them here on this part. Maybe I'll create this tag. That could be cute, although there's a lot of green there. I'm trying to match it to make it colorful, but not overwhelming. I'm just going through my elements over here. Whoops. Let's see here. Oh, and I do have this one. That's kind of funny. Would that be too talk about matchy? Yeah, I think that's kind of, it'll just blend in really. So I think we could maybe use this one. So I'm just going to get this tag ready. But the idea again is to put Bible verses on the other side of these. So then I can just pull them out at the ready and there they are, right? That works. That works. Now did a color, this looks like, see what ribbon I used. So I used this blue one. I'm just going to weave it through and make a quick tag here, although this one looks yellow, doesn't it? No, it is. It's the same one. I keep reusing the same ribbon because it's what I have on hand, and I'm not going to go out and buy bunches of ribbon, you know, trying to use what I've got mostly. If I see something really cute, I'll pick it up, but I always buy it at either Walmart or Dollar Tree. If you know Dollar Tree Crafts, you know Dollar Tree Crafts. Excuse my voice. I think I need more tea. So let me move these out of the way. Trying to keep it neat on my desk here. So I think what I will do is glue these down. I'm not going to mess with that tape again. I'm going to use this Smart Craft Glue from scrapbook.com. Excuse me. And what I do is just use very thin bit of it. Be careful not to squeeze too hard, because you know what that'll do. You'll have glue everywhere, and yes, needless to say, I have done that. And I'm just patting them down gently so this glue doesn't, even though I layered it thin, I don't need it to come gushing out. And let's let that dry a little bit. But on the other side, just an FYI, what I intend to do is I decided to use the outside cover paper and put this here. I have this element that I created last year. I may have to cut it down a little for it to fit, but I'm actually going to do it sideways here. I thought that would be a kind of fun way to do it. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on here and just kind of get this on there. And I hope if I need to cut it, then I'll cut it. But the idea is to just make little places and spaces in this folder to celebrate, you know, the season, if you will. So I guess I need to let this dry a little bit. Well, these seem pretty good actually. So just to see how this is going to look, this will go in here. And I like that it's sticking up a little. That's really what I wanted to do. And I did end up putting this here, so this red will stick out a little bit there. And in fact, I may cut this slightly, just slightly. Come on, I think I need to get these scissors sharpened. Okay, good. Alrighty, so that's this. So far this is what this looks like. It's pretty good. And then over here, I will write a Bible verse there, or at least, you know, chapter and verse. And yeah, I am going to have to trim this down a little. Okay, so this is still drying. I keep trying to put this in there, and then it's getting glue on it. But you know what? I think that shows me too. I can cut it down over here, just a little bit. It's not perfectly straight. It's okay. Doing the best we can. I just wanted a little bit of the green to show through, so hopefully that'll work. As this is drying, I'm going to set this whole thing aside. As it's drying, now again, I have to admit, this is bothering me a little. I'm tempted to trim it just slightly, and I may do that by the time we're done. I need to think about what I want to put on the front of here. So again, I have all of these elements from here and here, and I don't want it to be Santa kind of oriented. Obviously this is faith oriented, but since I have the middle piece in there that is this, I think I'm going to put this here. I think that totally makes sense. I'm just going to get my regular adhesive here and get that on the front. Okay, so let's get that on here. And is it straight? I don't know that it's straight. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. This is why I tend to do these things off camera, but why not? Okay, there we go. So that's part of it. Now we're just going to add a few little elements from here to really zhuzh it up, if you will. And just looking at it, I think what I'm going to do is add this cute little hot cocoa mug. And to balance that out, I'll add this other hot cocoa mug. I know that may seem redundant, but it's cute. And then let's just add this little flower element here, maybe up here. And do I have something small? And yes, I do. I have this little tiny holly here. And I think that's it. And that's perfect. Do I want to add anything else? Now I could. Again, I could use this as kind of a washi tape at the bottom, but I'm not going to. We're going to let it be, right? Right. Now what I also could do is use these kind of as, well, here, I'll show you. We're going to use this one and this one since they match. And we're going to put one on the back and one on the front. Just little tabs with a little flare, if you will. Huh. Is it perfectly straight? I don't know, but it looks good. Okay, so that's on there. I brought you a little bit closer. So now do I want to decorate any of this with any of these elements? And you know what? I really kind of do. I'm going to cut some of this and just randomly place it at the bottom, just for fun. Okay, let's do it. Yep, let's kind of make this look right. I don't want this video to be too long, so I just added some of these stickers on here, and I think that actually worked pretty well. Now the question is, what do I want to add to these? Let me pull these out again and see what I've got here. And yeah, I think I have some ideas, and I am using some of the more secular decorations, and I have to be okay with that because again, I'm focused on the season and on God and Jesus, so we can go with that. That looks really cute, doesn't it? If I say so myself, I really like how this turned out. I'm going to put this, yeah, see, shrinking it. It's still a little tight, but you know what? We're getting there. We're getting there. We can leave it out a little bit. If I could get it in just a little more, that would be good. Yeah, I'm learning as I go, friends. That's all you know what? Let me cut more of this so it's done. It won't match the top, but that's okay. There we go. Much better. Okay, lesson learned for next time, I guess. And I'm going to add this little bit. It's like a washi strip. I'm going to cut it. I actually ordered Christmas washi. It hasn't come yet, so I don't buy a lot of things, but I try to make it nice, if you will. And in the middle here, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to add the 25th. That's the reason for the season, right? And yeah, that's really kind of cute actually too. It's not spectacular, but I like it. I know, you know what? Why am I criticizing myself? It's good. And then again, a Bible verse over here, and I may cut this down in the back a little. And the question is, what do I want to put back here? And I think I'm just going to go very simple and put this beautiful poinsettia. And maybe one or two of these. Let's see here. Let's look over here. Season of Joy sticks out to me. Season of Joy, right? And maybe one more. Right? It's a lot. And then I added warmth and love. Okay, I think we've got it, except I need to write down kind of a spiritual wish list, and I need to add the Bible verses that portend, you know, Christ and Christ's arrival. And this is swimming in here. You know what I might do? Since I cut this here, I'm just going to back it with that to give it a little bit more. I think that works better. Yeah, that's a little better. I could put something up here, although I'm running out of some elements, but let's not worry about that, right? So let me let me try this again. Let me get my Bible verses together. For something like this, I can write on it. Something like this, which obviously is a little tighter, but I can, well, I think I can write on there. Either that or I could put white cardstock on the back, but then that'll make it thicker. So let me get those together and we shall return, friends. Okay, friends, it is done, and this is how it looks, okay? And again, I would suggest using glue instead of the double-sided tape. But what I did is, this Christmas list is focus on the joy of Jesus and the virtue of humility. I wrote a piece on humility, and it's been on my mind because the humble birth of Jesus. And looking through some of my sermon notes, Isaiah 53 is one of the ones that portends the coming of Christ. And as you can see, I put a tag on here to write that on. And then I have the ribbon. Oops, let's try this again. The ribbon right there. So that's this part. Then over here, I went a little different, but that's okay. Again, I went to some of my sermon notes, truthfully, and I came up with Romans 8. And I'll put these verses in the bottom part below, basically saying that those of us who follow God and what it means to follow God. And I think that's a great verse. And the other one is 2 Corinthians 5, which, you know, famously, we walk by faith and not by sight. So again, those necessarily aren't related to Jesus, but yet the message of Jesus helping me through any anxieties and being overwhelmed by the holidays. I really like this color scheme a lot, and I like the fact that I used that one for the cover. And then since I put the 25th here, I may add cardstock to the back, but it's Luke chapter 2. I tried to write it clearly. I need a black marker, and maybe I'll just use a Sharpie and go over that. But Luke chapter 2 is the birth story that I rely most on. And then on this one, I did the same thing as I did on the front. I put a card on the back. And I picked John 13:7, really all of John 13, but it's when Jesus is talking to his disciples and he's like, the Last Supper. And that may seem a strange thing for Christmas, but hear me out. What he's saying to them is, have faith. You may not understand what's about to happen, but it's meant to be. And I think that's a great verse. Again, it doesn't necessarily relate exactly to Jesus's birth, but the idea is to trust in God's plan, which also relates to these two. And I really thought that would set me up well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses. Yeah. And that's great. One a week to focus on. And I've created a really cute booklet here that I'm happy with. I'll have to, when I finish November's faith study in here, I'll move that. And incidentally, you can see I did cut this down. It's not perfectly straight, but I had to, there was too much overhang. And, you know, we learn as we go, friends. And so that is my Advent project for this year. I might put something behind there to hold it like I'm doing the other side, but that's neither here nor there. This is a great project. You can do this. It's not expensive. You can use any paper you need to. You can make your own tags. I make my own tags a lot. You just take your paper and cut it out into a tag. Use Dollar Tree ribbon. These were really inexpensive, like I said, at PopShelf. You might even be able to find them on Amazon. And so, yeah. That's it, friends. Thank you. I know this is a longer than normal video, but my goal is to really inspire you with joy in your faith and to help you find your creativity. Thank you for being here today, planner friends. Have a wonderful day. Bye, faith and planner friends.